Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So today I'd like to talk about pay forward and stop paying back. Pay forward. Maybe you may know the movie called Pay Forward. It's around 2000. 20 years ago. And so the story of a social studies teacher who gave an assignment to his junior high school class to think of idea to change the world for the better. Then put it into action. And one student created an idea, help someone and tell him or her to pay it forward to 3 other people. So each pays it forward to 3 more and on into global outpouring of kindness and decency. So God wanted to create the chain of goodness by paying it forward through his lineage. That's his idea of creation. But in reality, the chain of negativity started from the fall of Adam and Eve and is ongoing by paying back through false lineage. So we learned that one of Aesop's fables, the fox and stork at Sunday school. Do you know the story, fox and stork? So the fox invited a stork to eat with him and provided soup in a bowl, which the fox could lap up easy. However, stork has beak, right, long beak. So the stork couldn't eat the soup, and the fox did by intentionally. So, so the next what happened is the stork then invited the fox to the meal, and the stork served with the narrow-necked narrow-necked vessel. So the stork can eat the food, but the fox couldn't. So in this story, the stork mistreated by the fox, and then fox pay back by the same way the fox treated the stork. So this story had a different ending if the stork decided not to pay back, but to treat the fox by the opposite way. So there are 2 well-known rules for pay forward and stop paying back. So they are found in many religions and cultures through the ages, called Golden Rule and Silver Rule. And saints and sages taught and demonstrated these rules to spread goodness and break the chain of negativity. So Golden Rule is treat others the same ways you would like to be treated. And Silver Rule is do not treat others in the ways that you would not like to be treated. So Golden Rule is for chain of goodness, and the Silver Rule is to break the chain of negativity. And So Jesus and Christians are a good example for these rules. And true parents and our movement also practice these rules, golden rule and silver rule. So true parents started God's lineage, which is the ultimate chain of goodness, by giving blessing. And true parents pulled us out from false lineage, which is the chain of negativity started by Satan. And true parents have never paid back, even though they were mistreated. They rather forgave, prayed and served for those who mistreated them. So loving your enemies mean those who mistreat you, sounds unreasonable. But it perfectly makes sense in terms of restoration, the breaking the chain of negativity and making positive outcome. But unfortunately, true parents and our movement are often misunderstood. We teach the importance of family, but we often sacrificed family and made family members suffer. So recently, there was an unfortunate event in Japan. The former Prime Minister Abe was assassinated by the son of our church member. So his mother sacrificed a lot. His mother donated a huge amount of donation, even the point she filed bankruptcy, and her son had deep resentment toward our church. So in this kind of situation, we wonder what's this sacrifice, and we may wonder why Japanese church let members donated until they went bankruptcy. And so the process to build the tall building is a good example to explain why sacrifices were needed for our movement to create one family under God, which is God's ideal. What does the initial construction site of a tall building look like? This, it's going so it's, I don't know why. I didn't know that. Presentation is not moving. Just a moment, I will figure out.
But on your screen, you're seeing it's moving, right?
It's my screen is moving, but
There we go.
one slide.
Okay.
Yeah, this one. So the construction site is like this picture. So it's a big hall. So the constructors, the final goal is make the tall building. But initially, what they do, constructor, they dig the hole. They dig the hole, and if the ground is soft, they even dig the hole and make some ground improvement. So the builder spent a lot of time and energy to make foundation for tall building. And those who do not understand, do not know architecture, will not see why they are digging hole. And those people will not appreciate those creating the foundation. So in the same way, our two parents and our movement, what we are doing through sacrifice is creating the foundation. And those who don't know spiritual side or principle of restoration, they will not see, they cannot understand why we are doing the sacrifice. Even at the point, the families of the members suffer. But from the viewpoint of restoration, the principle of restoration, and the spiritual side, then we can understand that those sacrifices is for foundation, creating the foundation. And so I believe God gives us bigger blessing while we sacrifice. For example, God blessed Japan to play her role as mother nation. You know, Japan had huge economic growth in 1980s. And in late 1980s, the land value of just small part of Tokyo reached the land value of the entire United States. I don't know how they calculate the value of entire United States. And I don't know this story is true, but nevertheless, at that time, it was crazy. It's the value of land became so expensive. It was the bubble economy in Japan. And Japanese members who made huge donation, I think it's for the payback, for pay it forward of God's blessing, for God's providence. And I believe that's for representing, they did representing Japan, for the Japan received God's blessing. And you know, 1980s and 1990, at that time, our providence progressed a lot. The Cold War ended, and the blessing was open to everybody, everyone in the world. And you know, in order to end Cold War, our movement invested a lot of money, like Washington Times. And those money came from Japan, those members who donated a lot. And right now, Japanese media is paying attention of negative side of our movement. and everybody is focusing on that. But I believe the time will come for Japanese people understand and appreciate those sacrifices. Those sacrifices was not in vain. Those sacrifices was made for God's providence, to progress God's providence. And when can children fully appreciate parents? So children can fully appreciate parents. I think they become parents and sacrifice themselves for children. So this cartoon says, son, one day you will appreciate the truly important thing in life. And then son's father when he becomes a father. I remember my mother's father, my grandfather, told her that she should pay forward to children whenever she felt appreciation to parents. And she told me to do the same. If I feel appreciation to her, pay forward to my children. That's my mother told me. So the conclusion is we need to find appreciation in our life and pay forward. And I like especially for second generation to think about what you received from God and two parents. You are born in God's lineage, and God's lineage, establishing God's lineage was the God's goal throughout human history. God has been seeking his lineage, and as you will understand through studying divine principle, so many sacrifices has been paid throughout human history to establish God's lineage. So think about what's God's lineage, and if you find appreciation for the God's lineage, what you need to do is pay it forward. God's lineage and blessing, you need to pay it forward. And break the chain of negativity and show kindness instead of paying back when you feel you are mistreated. And unfortunately, we are still in the chain of negativity. Even though we are blessed and we are engrafted to God's lineage, we still have fallen nature, and we are still living in the fallen environment. So in many times we feel our fallen nature comes out, or we have negative thought, negativity comes out. But those times, what we need to do is break the chain of negativity. And God is love. God always loves us no matter how we disregard him in our life. And God hopes we will find appreciation voluntarily and pay it forward. So Two Parents Song for 10th anniversary is coming next Sunday. Next Sunday is the Two Fathers Song for anniversary, 10th anniversary. And let us reflect Two Fathers' life and appreciate Two Fathers' life. Thank you so much. And I'd like to conclude my sermon with prayer. Dear Heavenly Parent, thank you for this time for us to gather together and worship Heavenly Parent and have time to think about Heavenly Parent and Two Parents. Two Fathers Song for anniversary is coming in 1 week. And Heavenly Parent, we received so much from Heavenly Parent and Two Parents, even though we cannot fully understand. And in many cases, we don't appreciate. But Heavenly Parent, let us reflect deeply and find that appreciation throughout human history and throughout our movement. So much sacrifice was made. And that sacrifice is for foundation of your ideal to be realized on this earth. And God's lineage and blessing was established at this time on this earth because of Two Parents' sacrifice and our members' sacrifice, our first generation early members' huge sacrifice. And let us remember those sacrifices was paid for us, each one of us. And our blessing was fruit of those sacrifices. And second generation is the fruit of those sacrifices. And I would like second generation to find appreciation of what they have, the God's lineage and blessing, and then pay it forward. Thank you so much, Heavenly Father, Heavenly Parent. Let us prepare our mind, our heart for coming Two Fathers Song for anniversary, 10th anniversary. Thank you. I'd like to report everything in the name of families gathered here and Kietsugu and Teresa Sada Birth Center family. Achu.